Afternoon, everybody. Father Miller here. This technically isn't Sunday Night Live since it's 2:30 Central out here, but I wanted to go a little bit earlier because I might have some of my UK friends joining me. But as you know, on Friday, the big bomb dropped that Russell T Davies is coming back to Doctor Who. And, this feels like Admiral Akbar, where it's like this is a trap because Davies is the one that brought Doctor Who back from the dead. Because it was like '89, I think, was Sylvester McCoy's last season, and it went on this long hiatus. They tried to reboot it back in '96 with Paul McGann in the Doctor Who movie, and I remember enjoying it, but there were a few things that were a little problematic in that one, such as the Doctor being half human, and I can't remember. It's been so long since I've seen it. But yeah, so Russell T Davies comes onto the scene in America. Doctor Who, the new Who, began 6 months after it aired in England because, it was on Sci-Fi Channel here originally, and you had to wait the 6 months, so you try to avoid the spoilers and everything. And really, honestly, that was fine because it wasn't really that hard to do. And honestly, I think, if I remember correctly, trying to find ways to get around having to wait by watching it online. And there were techniques that you could do back then. But Doctor Who premiered in the fall of 2004, I think it was, and blown away. I mean, Christopher Eccleston came in. It was the perfect beginning for those who don't know who Doctor Who is, because he's mysterious. For those that are new, they get to learn about his legacy slowly on, but those that have been watching Who for a long time, like myself, you already knew who Eccleston was, and it works up to the big reveal. I think it is at the second episode, The End of the Earth, where Rose and Doctor watches the Earth blow up at the end of, the sun exploding, destroying the Earth and everything. And the Doctor reveals he's the last of his kind, that he's a Time Lord. His world burned up in fire. So for those that are new, this is something that's totally new. For those of us that have been watching for a lifetime, it's a big revelation. And again, Russell T Davies was amazing. Had a lot of good stuff. I'm going to try to bring up his IMDb page because I wanted to go through it. Now, Russell T Davies, I did not realize, 1963, so he would have been about 40 when he came back in. Some of the stuff I've not heard of his since, like It's a Sin. The Sarah Jane Adventures I never really got into. I should. I mean, Sarah Jane Smith was one of my favorites growing up. Years by years, don't know. Torchwood, I tried. Hold on. Let me see. I just got a message. I'm just chatting with somebody real quick. But yeah, so he comes onto the scene. He's like let's see. Oh, where I passed it, darn. Hold on. Okay, so 36 episodes of Russell T Davies from Rose, which again is the beginning of New Who, to, we're not counting these two, but The Magician's Apprentice, Good Man Goes to War. Yeah, so I mean, so many good episodes in this, and there's so many bad episodes too. I'm just waiting for somebody to get here while we're doing that. Chrysanthemum, almost got it. Good to see you. PD, thanks for joining. Comic Sense, good to see you. So, like I said, just waiting on somebody. But yeah, so here we go. We got Ian. Sorry. Oh, don't worry. Don't worry. I wanted to start a little bit earlier just because I figured that way I don't keep you up late. And I get to do this before the emotionally draining Ultra Society meeting.
Sorry, I just didn't know what time you were starting.
Okay.
I didn't know what time you were starting. That was the thing. So.
Well, originally I was going to do this 3 hours from now.
All right.
And I decided, okay, let's do this before I have my meeting.
Okay.
So that's why I just threw it out to you, Dan, and Bolstrick, to see if you guys wanted to come. You got to do the Fury of the Hoovians yesterday. Wasn't really looking to repeat that, but I don't know what to think of this. I mean, my whole thing is remakes or reboots, bringing somebody in that's been away for a long time doesn't always work. Animaniacs, I don't know if you're familiar with Animaniacs.
Yes, I am.
Loved it as a college kid. I mean, it was must-see TV every day. And then I was thrilled to death when they brought it back, but when I watched the season on Hulu, it sucked.
It's because we're talking about a different generation now and different way of thinking.
Well, and I mean, they got the original cast, they got the original voices, but it became woke.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying.
That's part of it too.
Yeah, that's the whole part of it. That's a real big part of it. It's really funny because, as we all know, they're aiming for our youth. This horrible cult is aiming for our youth. In fact, I was in church this morning and the priest, he touched on it slightly, but not enough in my opinion, because people should be aware that this is going on. But yeah.
Before we do that, the theology part, I got to show you. As you may know, I'm heading to Kansas tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
I am going to the funeral of this priest.
Oh, okay.
He is on the first level for sainthood.
Right.
And he died in a North Korean POW camp. And they just identified his bones in March.
Okay.
He's from Wichita, and they're bringing him back today. And I'm going down tomorrow for the liturgies. So beyond excited. At least there's something to be excited about right now.
Exactly.
I haven't had a chance to watch everybody's videos. I watched The Wrath yesterday.
But the thing is, everybody's saying the same thing. Yeah, more or less. I mean, I said yesterday that I don't know what to think of this. I obviously, I watched Doomcock's video and he was saying, it's good news, but it's all down to the BBC and whether they're going to carry on this agenda through with Russell T. Now, I heard a rumor that it was between Russell T and Moffat that they wanted to come back, but it's obvious why they picked Russell T, if this is true, because Moffat's a straight white man, isn't he? So, that's, well, I mean, I don't know if it's true, but I
know what you mean. I know what you mean.
Yeah. So yeah, Russell T's coming back. I am, this is unusual because it's like saying George Lucas is coming back to Star Wars. That's what it feels. That's what it sounds like. But, again, Bad Wolf Productions has been given the reins to produce the new Doctor Who, and basically BBC is their distributors, if you know what I mean. So they're the production company, BBC distributors, because they've just farmed it out now, and obviously they've hired Russell T to helm the project. But the question is, the big question is, two questions that concerns every Doctor Who fan, especially the ones that don't like the last version of the Doctor. One is he going to retcon the retcon? And two, who is he going to have as the Doctor? Is it going to be female? Is it going to be a gay guy? Exactly. Is it, and all that kind of thing that plays into it. So even though it sounds great, when you dig deeper, there's still a lot of problems ahead.
Well, and the thing is that there's still a whole season of, 8 episodes and 2 specials? So who knows what damage is going to be done over that course?
Well, that's the thing, you see. I honestly, truly believe that if I was showrunner, there's nothing that Chibnall can do to destroy it. So, and there's nothing he can do that will destroy it forever. We're talking about time and space. We're talking about Doctor Who. Anything is possible in the sci-fi world. And if you're clever enough, you can bring it back and restore it to the way it's supposed to be, So
remind me, it's been a few years since I saw it, but How did Capaldi's doctor have to regenerate? What was the thing that led to it?
I can't remember because I hated that episode. I thought it was dull and boring, and I thought the way they treated the first Doctor was disrespectful.
I'm just
I don't
saying that
remember it.
maybe they could go back in time and prevent the thing that required Capaldi to regenerate to stop that.
I think. Well, I have several ideas. One idea is that the Jodie Doctor was. Do you remember that time when David Tennant and Billy Piper, Rose, went to the end of time and they got out and it was a different version of the universe? Do you remember that? A different Mickey.
So,
yeah. And
that was the parallel universe.
Yeah, parallel universe. Yes. So blimps in the air. I would put Jodie in that era. So it's not real Doctor Who. I would go back and have that. You remember that scene when the Doctor was with Bradley Walsh and they came after the funeral and they were sitting outside their garden? I would have a shot where we look up and we see all the blimps flying around. That's to tell the audience that this is not our universe. It's another universe we're looking at. And then somehow work that into the new series and say, maybe the Master split the universe. Because there's one idea I've got that the Master, basically, he looked through all the different versions of the universe trying to find out where he won. There's got to be a version where he won. And all of them he loses apart from one universe. So he decides to do something to split it in half. That's and then that's where all the trouble starts. So now he stands a better chance.
So Jodie is the one where the Master wins.
Yeah, well, I reckon so. So,
like
but but as I said, that's just one idea of millions that could be produced to retcon the retcon. You see, but they won't go. I think they won't go down that avenue. Father. I don't think they will. I think they're definitely entrenched in this agenda. And we're in trouble, whether we like it or not, So anyway, I hope it's not the case.
Well, no, and like I said, and I was explaining to those watching that I've been into Who most of my life. So I was thrilled when Eccleston came on. I had no clue who he was, but I quickly warmed up to him. I thought, at the end of the first season of New Who, I ranked him up in probably one of the top Doctors because I thought the season was that good.
Yeah.
And then Tennant comes on, and again, Tennant is somebody that I had never heard of. And there's that way to see, okay, American here, new accent. Let's see how this is going to sound. What type, the thing is, when the new Doctor regenerates, you look forward to seeing what type of outfit he's going to wear. How is he going to change the interior of the TARDIS and all that?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, as I said, there are thousands of ways you can retcon the retcon. It can be saved, right? Because what's been proven is that this era doesn't work. The toy sales are not selling. They're harking back to the classic Doctor Who, selling classic toys from the Doctor Who era. Hardly anybody's talking about New Who.
I can't tell you the last time I saw a Doctor Who toy.
Yeah, I know it's crazy, but that's what I'm talking about. I don't think it's impossible to fix this, but the question is whether they want to fix it. That's the question. So, but who knows? Who knows? to pardon the pun. But yeah.
But that was the other thing too. You guys were talking about how we don't know the name of the Doctor, and one of the things I always got a kick out of in New Who was when Clara puts Doctor Who. And, there was always the play on the two words together.
Yes. Yeah.
But it was never referred to as Doctor Who. But when they put the words...
He was called Doctor Who in the classic era. They did credit him as Doctor Who. And I think throughout time, it's like, well, his name isn't really Doctor Who. Doctor Who means who is he? That's what it means, because he's a mystery, isn't he? And Chinbol spoilt that, didn't he? He destroyed that mystery, didn't he? Completely. Because that was the whole point of the show. But you know what? Go ahead.
Moffat almost kind of got into that territory with Clara. I mean, going back to when the Doctor was a boy on Gallifrey.
Yeah, I didn't like that. I think Doctor Who was in trouble before this era happened. If you look at the Peter Capaldi ones, they were really heading towards huge woke and all that stuff, and some of the stuff they said in there was really hurtful to the fans and also annoying to people like me. You know, I mean, I'm a fan, obviously, but it's just annoying that that's what they're doing with something that's so special.
This ticks me off because Capote is one of us.
Mm.
Yes.
Yes.
Lifelong fan.
He is.
And they gave him crap.
Well, he didn't want to go. See, that's the thing. And he got pushed. And this is, you know, he could have been still the Doctor now, and we could have had some really great adventure. Because I honestly, truly believe that majority of the stories that they gave him were absolutely awful. In fact, I was beginning to like him when he got Nardell in, and I know a lot of people don't like him, but I thought he was quite amusing, and I thought it just got worse when they added Missy in, and the balance was unbalanced there. But I thought. I hate that one with the superhero, you know, the Christmas one with the superhero one. I hated that.
Cute.
I hated it, but I did like the relationship between him and Nardell, and I thought that was quite amusing, especially when they were trying to land the ship and all that stuff, and some of the dialogue that was bouncing backwards and forwards was quite fun. But it was just getting started. That's my point. It was just getting started with those characters. They were too busy focusing on, you know, whether Potts was gay or, you know, whether this was, you know what I mean, instead of the actual relationships.
They even told you that in the first episode.
Yeah, they did, didn't they? And another thing that bothered me with Peter Bacaldi's run as well is they have him as a lecturer, yet they don't explain how he got there or what he's talking about in his lecture. He seems to be rambling on about rubbish. Do you know what I mean?
Well, I'm thinking the Moon episode now.
Oh, that was terrible. Come on.
That was terrible.
You know what the worst episode was, in my opinion? And I saw it in the cinema, was the first episode with Peter Bacaldi, and I hated it.
Was that the one with the Pater Noster gang?
Deep Breath with the dinosaur that was bigger than Big Ben, which made no sense. And the dinosaur's walking around and everybody's just looking at it. They're not running. They're not scared. All the logic got thrown out the window on that one. The Doctor starts writing complicated equations on the floor. Why? We don't know, even to this day. He escapes through the bedroom window and climbs around the rooftops. Why? We don't know. Why didn't he take the stairs? We don't know why. Do you know what I mean? It just, none of it makes any sense. And everybody's telling me, oh, it was a fantastic episode, and it wasn't.
It was not.
Yeah.
But it was at least the Pater Noster gang didn't get a spinoff like they were trying.
Thank God. That's all I can say. Yeah, this girl's got a horrible lizard face in it. Nobody mentions it. You know, you got that little potato guy wandering around it. Nobody mentions it. You know, none of it makes any sense.
I liked him, but yeah, I don't want to see that as a spinoff.
No, nor do I. The spinoff should be Romana or the Paul McGann Doctor. People are screaming for that, yet BBC don't want to hear it.
Now, Lila Ward is in her 70s, isn't she? Or is she in her 60s?
I think she's in her 60s, but what you could do is you have her in a few episodes, she dies and turns into somebody else.
Because she's still in the parallel universe or whatever the other dimension is. And she never regenerated since the time of Baker. Yeah.
So we could have her in and just to, you know, just for her to regenerate into someone gorgeous looking, you know, someone that, you know, that's a, you know, feminine beauty, which is what the BBC hates for some reason.
I would be okay with that.
Yeah, so would I.
That's not creating new canon. I mean, it is, but it isn't.
I you know what, right? I if I was going to create a Romana spin-off, I would have her traveling in a clock. So her TARDIS is a clock. You know, find that. Yeah, he did, but his clock was weird. It was thin, and it was like, how the hell did he get in? Do you know what I mean? How the hell did he get into that space? But I would try and find a clock that's wide, like the TARDIS, so that, you know, kind of, you know, so it looks right. You know, I'll have a travel in some kind of clock version, you know, old-fashioned clock. That would be quite cool. And yeah, just mirror what the Doctor does, really. I mean, and what we got a female Time Lord who kicks ass and, you know, and chews bubblegum, basically.
Or bring back Jenny.
Who?
Jenny, the Doctor's daughter.
Jenny, of course. But yeah, I don't know about
that's
Jenny.
A little weird now because she's married to Tennant.
Yes, she is. And in fact, if you do get her back, you can guarantee that he'll make a guest star appearance in there somewhere, wouldn't he, to help his wife?
Well, I get into areas of incest then.
Well, but I'm just saying.
If he's the doctor's daughter.
Mm. No, I'm just saying you could get him to come as the Doctor in the episode if we did go with the Jenny series. I'd rather go with the Romana series, because the Romana series is something new for the females and for the boys. If you get someone that's really attractive, if you dress them not sexy, but if you dress them in a feminine Doctor way, then I think it'll attract the boys and the girls, and then the girls could have something to look up to.
Not like Jodie. Yeah. Get rid of the rainbow.
Yeah, but Jodie's costume is terrible. It really is. See, that's Romana turning up now.
Well, I used to think Colin Baker's was the worst, and not anymore. And I even rewatched his whole seasons a few months ago, and I don't hate him.
There was missed opportunities there, wasn't there? Father, like the two Doctors, that was the worst ever Doctor Who script. Terrible,
no,
and they had such an opportunity. Now you reckon? I don't know. I'm in two minds with Colin. I really didn't like Sylvester. I thought Sylvester was a terrible Doctor, and a lot of people say he's great and stuff like that, but I thought he was awful. I don't care which run it was, whatever season it was. I thought he was terrible as the Doctor. I thought he overacted, and his costume was just thrown together. There was no thought on it. Though. Oh, I didn't. That stupid hat. He keeps taking his hat off to people and rolling his R's and all that nonsense, and Ace was wasted as a character, in my opinion, So, I don't know. Colin Baker was okay. He was fine, but he was too arrogant and you couldn't warm to him. That was the problem with him. But, as I said, there's possibilities out there for the new Doctor Who series. As I said, if I was showrunner, I would have no problem fixing this. There's 1,000 ways you can fix this.
Like as you were saying yesterday, I'm going to give it a chance. I mean, I pray the damage over the next year is not bad, and a lot depends on who the new Doctor is going to be.
Yeah, and
I'll give the first few episodes a try, but I'm still going to be very suspicious, and they're going to have to wine and dine me.
And flowers.
I prefer cigars.
All right, okay. But knowing the BBC,
it's like Eccleston in the first one, where Captain Jack is like, "Oh, what was it?" Eccleston's like, "I'm worth it."
Yeah. I liked Eccleston, but I didn't like the way the series was produced. That was my problem. I really didn't like the way it was produced at all. I just thought it was just shoddily produced, but it was a good series in my opinion.
You figure that this was the first time in almost 15 years that you've had weekly Doctor Who.
Yeah,
and, now looking back at it almost 20 years later, you could say it was imperfect, but at the time, it blew me away. They were given the money, they had sets. Outside of the farting aliens, it was fun.
I'm just a nitpicker, me, by nature. As I said, I did a stream with Dan and Wendy and Starry Eyed, and we were talking about the first episode, which was the Chris Eccleston episode, and I had a lot of problems with that episode. I remember watching it and palm smacking my head like 10 times while watching it. I just thought there were some things that they could have done better and stuff like that. But saying that, though, it wasn't enough for me to walk away from the Doctor. I watched every episode and it got better. Dalek was amazing. That episode Dalek was really, really amazing. And, the last 3 episodes of his run was absolutely fantastic, and what can you say? Russell T brought the Doctor back from the dead, and I'm hoping that he can do it with this one,
Yeah. What was it? It was the first 2 seasons. You had the Dr. Light episodes where they were cutting on the budget and everything. So, again, my hatred goes to the 2 episodes in season 2 of Fear Her and Oh, thank heavens I'm forgetting the other one, but it's the one where the girl ends up as a slab of concrete.
Oh, that was terrible. That was because I
Love
think
and
David
Monsters.
Tennant. That was it. David Tennant couldn't do that episode or something like. It was something in his contract that he couldn't do that episode. I had to fill it with, with the comedian. I can't remember the comedian's name. Play the creature at the ending because he's very famous over
I
here.
never heard of him.
Yeah, but he's very famous over here. So he's a regional comedian and he's very funny. But it was a terrible episode. Personally, I thought, obviously Blink is an amazing episode. I mean, if you go through the amount of stuff that Russell T had been behind, he literally brought Doctor Who back and in a new way. That's what we need. We need something new, don't we? So,
I mean,
I don't know.
Again, let's see. So the last three would be Bad Wolf, Boomtown, and The Long Game. Was The Long Game the one where they're on the space station where it's a game station, or is that Boomtown?
I can't remember. I
They
never
were, like,
remember
in the Big Brother house.
I think. Oh yes, that must be the long. Yeah, that must be it because I didn't like that episode. To tell you the truth, I just thought it was a bit silly. But I mean, that wasn't that the one with Simon Pegg.
Ooh, yeah,
That
where
was
he
the one with
plays the
Simon.
control.
Yeah, he plays
He
the
plays the
controller.
control guy.
Yes, and that was the one where the doctor went and the thing opened in his head and told him to. Yeah.
I don't know if you saw the Black Books episode where Chris or Simon Pegg was in it.
No, I don't like Black Books. It never made me laugh at all.
You don't?
For some reason. No, never made me laugh.
Loved it.
Yeah, well, yeah, I didn't like it. But as I said, he's done some amazing work for Doctor Who, and hopefully he can do it again. But two questions still hang: whether it's going to be woke, or whether the Doctor's going to be a girl. And as long as not
Turn Left. I'm just looking. I haven't seen Turn Left in years. That was a really good episode.
I need to.
An alternative.
I need to rewatch these. I need to rewatch them. I got to admit, I do like the David Tennant era more than Chris Eccleston era. I didn't think Chris Eccleston was right. I think if he got another season, I think he would have definitely slided into the Doctor's character more so. He was just getting it towards the ending until he left. And obviously David Tennant had more time to develop the Doctor because how many seasons did he go for? Was it 3?
I can't remember. It was either 3 or 4. Well, I think it was 3 and then the season of the specials because they took that year off and they only had 4 specials.
But,
because that was with the Waters of Mars and...
Yeah. He was good. I mean, he was good as the Doctor. I mean, he did overact a couple of times in it, but that was his character. I much prefer Matt Smith. I thought Matt Smith was a very, very good interpretation.
Well, the only problem with Matt Smith that got on my nerves was he always labeled his companions by a name, like the Impossible Girl, the girl who waited, the Roman Centurion, or the Last Centurion. I mean, that type of stuff just got old after a while.
It did, but that's not Matt Smith's fault. That's the writer's fault. that's Moffat's fault, isn't it? Let's face it.
Somebody is going to get a severe penance for this. I want to confess I don't hate Fear Her, but Love and Monsters is so bad I always thought Chibs had written it. Okay, at least you won't get a severe penance for that.
Yeah. As I said, Doctor Who, my friend Wendy, she got married because of Doctor Who. Do you know what I mean?
Nice.
It was a time. It was a time. It was the time of as she says, it was the time of MySpace, and she was part of a MySpace Doctor Who thing. Before Facebook, before all this, and she met her, her future husband through Doctor Who, and she was American, and she came over, and she's married to him now. She lives here. So Doctor Who, it means a lot to people, more so than anyone at the BBC could even imagine. And
I mean, the thing was, it was fun talking to my students that were nerds that were into Doctor Who, because it used to be we talk about it at the beginning of the week, just when we're done with everything, get their impression and all. And now I couldn't probably tell you any kids that watch it.
Yeah. Well, the kids don't watch it anymore, do they? Because I tell you why kids don't watch it is because when it first came out, people like us and fathers that experienced Classic Who, they would tell their
Oh
kids, "This is
goodness.
going to be great." Yeah, so they'd encourage them to watch it. But now, because we're all so disappointed with what they've done with it, none of us is going to our siblings or anything like that to
Well,
watch
and
this crap.
also we're coming up on 20 years of New Who.
Yes, we are. But this is Pooh, isn't it? This version.
This is well, yes. I can say excrement without getting in
All right.
trouble.
But New Who was gone. Now we got Pooh Who. So that's what we got now. But yeah,
Yes. Well,
man, I can't stand her. She's awful. It's just a real smack in the face, isn't it, to every fan out there? It really is. What they're doing is incredible. As I said, they don't realize what Doctor Who means to people. Not so much me. I am a fan, but I'm not a crazy fan. There are crazy fans out there. But Doctor Who has changed people's lives, a lot of people's lives, and they don't realize that. And yet they're cavalier with the material, aren't they? And cavalier with the whole of the concept of Doctor Who.
I would say, I mean, since when I was a kid growing up, Doctor Who was not really big over here. I mean, it was a PBS, it was a public television thing.
Yeah.
And it was one of those that, not many people watched. But the example I'm going to use is a lot of people say Star Trek inspired them to go into science and other stuff. Is that kind of like what Doctor Who did over there then?
I think so. Even I think Noel was saying once that it changed his life, and I can't remember how. But a lot of people, it changed. I don't. You know what? Right? Seriously, even when Doctor Who was off the air, you had people doing plays of Doctor Who on stage. You had the material on VHS was selling like hotcakes. And what I don't understand is how can the BBC not see that this is an IP that's worth cherishing, that's worth developing and putting more money into it. Even when Chris's version came out, even when Russell T, the budget was not enough. It's obvious when you watch the show, the budget is not enough. And I'd always go on about this. When I saw the trailer with Chris Eccleston running down that corridor on a big fireball.
Oh yeah,
and then I was so excited. And I was like, oh my God, they're treating Doctor Who with respect and, shooting it on film. And this is going to be amazing. And when I saw the episode, I was so disappointed. I was sitting there going, this is so bad. They're shooting it on video, trying to make it look like film, blah, blah, blah. Yeah.
It's like I tagged you guys. I think it was Matt Smith's season where they got the ghost ship and all that stuff. The music was Tristan's Two Steps from Hell, and I love the music. I mean, the trailer inspired me to go out and buy the song because I love the song that was playing so much.
Yeah.
I mean, it used to be you get so excited about a trailer you couldn't wait. And
yeah, as I said, a Doctor Who is a huge part of people's lives. I mean, there's this, I don't know if you know Charlotte. She comes on Dan's channel sometimes. Well. So she basically she was brought up with New Who. So I'm Classic Who, and I think you're Classic Who. We grew up with Classic Who.
And both. Well, I grew up with Classic Who.
Yeah, but that's where you started at Classic Who, isn't it?
Right.
So we started with Classic Who. So basically that's our era, and also New Who. And Charlotte, who's younger than us, she started with New Who. And so what BBC is doing, they don't realize what they're doing is they're destroying our love for Who. These two generations they're destroying for what? To please what? An agenda, or please or try and convince the world that this is where we should go? Do you know what I mean? That's what it's all about.
I gotta say, my biggest complaint about Tenet was the very last episode where he whines that he doesn't want to go.
Yeah.
And I hated that episode where it's like a regeneration's taking a few days.
He was holding it back, though, wasn't he?
What?
He was holding it
back. But I mean, I didn't like the idea that every time he regenerates, it's like he dies, he's a totally new person. I don't kind of like that idea, and I don't like his whining. I don't want to go.
Well, okay, I have problems with the last episodes of David Tennant run, like when he falls out that craft and he survives. That didn't make any sense, you know. And also I hated the Master. His Russell T's version of the Master. It made no sense to me.
John Sims.
Yeah, let's make everybody look like me on the planet. What
Yeah, that was
stupidness
a little
is
too
that?
silly. But I mean, you
Yeah,
gotta admit, when he first comes onto the scene, I mean, that was, oh no, that was the same episode.
it was crap. The actual interpretation of the Master is absolute nonsense. What happened to the calculated evil Master, which we had in John Pertwee's era? That's the Master I love. He was the Doctor's equal. He wasn't a
Yeah.
madman. You know, so that's the Master we need. And Chibnall is so devoid of any intelligence or any creativity whatsoever. He just copied the Sims Master and put it in, you know, Sacha Dhawan. That's all he did. You know, there wasn't anything. Sorry, go ahead.
I never watched the full episode of his. Well, no, I take that back. I made the mistake watching The Timeless Children. I hate that master.
Yeah. It's just a waste. It's a waste of time, isn't it? It's absolute waste of all our time, all the BBC money and stuff like that. And they don't want to admit that they've made a mistake. Jodie, I'm sorry, but Jodie basically she should have studied the Doctor. She should have watched episodes, but she didn't.
Exactly.
And
she made
now
a big
she does.
Point of that.
And now she does, and even to this day, she doesn't know how to play Doctor. She's playing the Doctor like a children's entertainer. That's what she's doing, you know. And you know what? Yes, it is a children's show, but it's more. Children have grown up inside their heads. More so, the things that children know today, we never knew when we were 6. Do you know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
So you've got the way to capture children in a children's show is to make sure that your children's show has something that they shouldn't see. Do you know what I mean? That's what attracts them.
Yeah.
And that's what they should be doing with Doctor. It's like the old Doctor Who with they used to have some horrific moments in the John Pertwee era. I was really scared of that doll. Do you remember that doll that came to life? When I was a kid, I was so scared.
Oh, yeah. That's the one the Master was doing, wasn't it?
That's right. Yes.
Yeah, I watched that episode not too long ago.
That scared me as a kid. You know, that's what I'm saying. That's what attracts kids to shows like that. That they think they're seeing something that they shouldn't be seeing, and whoa, they're a grown up, and that's
now,
the key.
I don't know on that because I remember watching it when it came on in 1990, the Tim Curry version of it. And when the blood starts coming out of the pages of the photo book, it's like, okay, I'm out. I mean, I'm 14 and I'm like, okay, I'm out.
Well, you're a gentleman.
I don't know. I mean,
but the thing is, though, majority of kids they love that stuff. They love. I mean, I just saw something on Netflix, and it wasn't woke, and I was really surprised. It was called Night Books, and that was a kids' film. If you ever get the chance to watch it, it's really very entertaining, you know. And that's a kids' movie, and that had some, you know, edge of your seat stuff, and you know, so. They do make them. When they make them well, they make them well, you know. But as I said, we need someone to take over the Doctor Who and have a fresh take at the Doctor. That's what we need. Otherwise, it's gonna fail again, and then it may disappear for good, you know. At
this point, it's like we've had a good run. Let it rest in peace.
Yeah,
I don't want to feel that way. I mean, I've always been saying. I told Az I got to be on the stream with him last week with Lady Gravemaster 2 weeks ago. It's like, I mean, it used to be the highlight of the week. You couldn't wait till Mass was done, get everything done, scarf down your dinner, and then go to your room and watch Doctor Who. Or when the trailer's going to come on, it's like, okay, one more day to the trailer and everything.
Yeah.
Now it's like I just don't like this feeling that I have towards what was my favorite show. I mean, it's just.
But you can bet your bottom dollar that the BBC do watch YouTube channels that actually talk about Doctor Who. They do, and I know that for a fact that they do watch. So you know, it's.
Well,
I think
somebody
maybe
Commander Ed Straker was mentioning when we did the last Who stream as a group, I think it was when you mentioned you had a source in the BBC. He mentioned that to Gary.
Oh, did he? Oh dear.
Yeah, and I said no. I just sent Gary a DM. It's like just to let you know, Ian said this, or Ian was the source of this, or whatever. He knows more if you wanted to reach out to him.
Well,
I don't remember what it was. Was it no? It was Vegas. I think it was not about Doctor Who. It was about Vegas that they were watching the cons and everything.
All right. I do have a source, but sometimes they tell me stuff and I'm not allowed to say because
no, and I understand. I don't want to get anybody in trouble.
Yeah. And how they found one of the sources I've got. I used to go to school with her, and I hadn't spoken to her in 21 years, and she texted me. She still had my number, surprisingly enough. She texted me and said, "Ian, do you remember me?" And I said, "Yes." And then she went, "There's a guy on YouTube that looks like you." And I went, "It's me." So that's how I got back in contact with her. So that's how, because she was saying that the BBC's watching this, and I was really surprised. And I was like, "Who at the BBC?" And she was saying, "Oh, someone they've just allocated to watch what people are saying about Doctor Who." And that was the first contact she made with me. So yeah, and then she's been telling me a couple of things as well, and I can honestly truly say,
out her. I don't want to dox her.
No, I'm not going to out her. But she did tell me that John Bishop was going to be part of this new version of Doctor Who before anyone knew that. But I wasn't obviously allowed to say. She told me a couple of things before, that I couldn't obviously talk about. It's the same thing with Gary. He's got a contact. JT's got a contact at the BBC. Dan, I think he's got a few contacts at the BBC, but you can't. You just take these things with a pinch of salt when they tell you. They told me, that John Bishop, and I just didn't believe it. I was like, "You're kidding!" that comedian John Bishop. But the guy's from Liverpool. The Americans are never going to understand him.
I'd never. I don't know anything about John Bishop.
Well, John Bishop is a huge comedian over here. Basically, he does
That's
tours.
What I've heard, but
yeah. And they get sold out and everything. He's very, very funny, but he has this thick Liverpoolian accent. And when he was on Graham Norton and he was telling this story and everybody was laughing and there were Americans on the couch, Graham Norton said to them, "Do you understand what he's saying?" And they said no. So I don't know what they're going to do here. How they're going to have to make him talk slowly or something in Doctor Who for the Americans to understand. If anyone in America is watching. So I don't know.
Well, as I mentioned, I'm like Gary. I told the BBC I do have a TV license. So I told a little fib.
Yeah.
But you saw what I play now when something bad happens, did you? You saw my clip I got queued up, right?
No, what's the clip?
Here we go.
All I can say right now is shame, 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 shame.
Yeah, I saw that last time I was on. But
okay, I couldn't remember if you had seen that or not.
But the thing is, though, my mum was being attacked by the BBC. She got sent red letters and stuff, and I had to go and say to her, "Look, you shouldn't worry about this because you are entitled to free license because you are over 80." And because that's all she does, because when you're at that age, and obviously my dad's passed, and all she's got is the TV for comfort. She watches Father Downing Mysteries. She watches, what is it? Judge Judy. She watches Texas Ranger. She watches all their comfort shows, aren't they? They're shows that you're comfortable with as an older person. Murder, She Wrote. She watches that. So to take that away from her, I mean, it's not right. The old pensioners, they love their TV. That's the thing, and so they changed the rules on it. Now she gets free BBC and free whatever and stuff like that. So she's pretty happy. But what made me laugh, I tell your father, this made me laugh so much. We have this show called Strictly Dancing. I don't know if you know it. It's a lot of people
probably
watch
like
it.
Ours.
Yeah. A lot of people watch it, and she didn't text me. She doesn't have text. She phoned me. She said, Ian, there's two men dancing. There's two men dancing. I can't believe
I heard
it.
you said that.
I was like, what the hell? I said, Mum, welcome to the new world. But yeah, it's my mum doesn't understand things like that. She just wonders about them, and I have to try and explain it to her. Oh, I love my mum. She's so nice. I get on with her very, very well. I'm a mother's boy. What can I say? But yeah,
I'm hoping to get home soon too.
Yeah.
Because it's been since June, and this would be the second trip since the thing started.
Yeah.
It's just a question of figuring out when I can do it.
Yeah. You know what? Anyone that's listening, family is so important. You don't realize that until you get to a certain age. When you're young, it's me. But when you get to a certain age, you realize that people around you are very important. I tell you, when you do realize it, when somebody goes. That's when you realize it, when somebody leaves this earth. And that's when you realize how important people are, especially the people that you love. So whatever you do, that's right. There you go. Whatever you do, if you can spend more time with the people that you like, I suggest you do it. That's what I say. So that's what I've been doing, basically. So yeah, not good, is it?
Yes, Cat Shark is here. That's what I refer. At least she didn't give you the butthole.
Should you be saying that, Father?
It'd be the other word that I get in trouble for.
Do you know? I was in church this morning, and they had made a film about the Salesians, John Bosco, with no money. And they had a big. I didn't know this until the director came up and spoke about it. And apparently, it's going to the Vatican, and they're going to be watching it. Apparently, so that's interesting. Yeah, it's interesting. So yeah.
I know that there was a new movie on Don Bosco that came out a few years ago. I hadn't seen it. The only one that I saw was the one from the 80s that was in Italian with English subtitles.
I saw the old one, which was shot in the 40s. I saw that as a kid. No, it was all right. It was all right. Yeah. I remember it a bit. It's crazy, isn't it? Absolutely crazy.
But anyway, so what do you got coming up this week?
I'm going to be on Dan's channel talking about the third episode of Chris Eccleston's Doctor. I think it's. I can't remember what was that one called. I can't remember. No, it's the one where he meets. Is it the one where he meets Shakespeare?
Oh yeah. That's right. Because it's after that one that they go back to London for the first time, and turns out she's been gone for a year.
Yeah. So
Christopher Dickens or Charles
Dickens. That's it. Charles Dickens is that one.
And the girl from Torchwood is in it.
Yes. I was the girl with the space between her teeth. That's what I say. I keep saying. But yeah, so we did the first episode, we did the second episode, and now we're going to do the third episode, which will be interesting. So it's going to be but I did like this episode. I did like this one. It was creepy. And obviously had the girl from from Torchwood in it, and stuff like that. And there was a bit of woke in there when they were. I don't know whether you can call it woke. Do you remember that scene where Rose was talking to her, and she was getting bullied by the guy and stuff, and she was saying you should stand up for yourself?
I wouldn't say that was woke.
No, you're probably right.
The problem with Russell T Davies was, and it isn't meant to sound bad, but he's not straight. So, I mean, when they have the New Earth, I think it is, or the one where the cars are underground, and you got the two cat women living together.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, and the thing is, you saw that in Torchwood, too, where the atheism is coming in. And, I mean, that kind of bothered me when it first was on.
Yeah, I can understand why it bothered you as well. But, as I said, things are, the world is changing, and I don't want to be, as my dad would, as we used to say to our dad, you're a fuddy-duddy. I don't want to be a fuddy-duddy. I want to embrace what's happening, but I will not embrace things that I disagree with. That's the thing. So, I think people have just got to have an open mind, but, common sense, just use your common sense to navigate through stuff, it's obvious
So
what they're doing is bad.
when does the new season start?
I don't know, and I don't care. I really don't care about Jodie at all. Jodie's version of Doctor Who. Somebody said to me, "Do you realize, Ian, you've never called Jodie the Doctor?" And I haven't. I've always referred to her as Jodie because I don't see her as the Doctor at all. I've never seen her as the Doctor.
Well, heck,
And she isn't the Doctor.
the guy in the hot air balloon was more of a doctor than Jodie is.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think they should have cast Sacha Dhawan as the Doctor. That would have probably worked better, in my opinion, rather than this
Or
female Doctor.
what's his name? Moss from the IT crowd. Richard Accorday.
Richard Adiwai, whatever his name is.
He could make a good master.
I think if he was to play the Doctor, it would be very unusual because, as I said, it'll be the first Doctor who constantly wears glasses because he looks weird without them and he can't see without them. So
yeah, but
do you know what
I mean? Tennant wore glasses a lot.
Not all the time, but
not all the time, but
this guy has to wear them all the time. So it'd be the first Doctor wearing glasses all the time, all the way through. So that's what I'm saying. So because he just looks weird without them.
Yeah.
And also, as I said, he can't see without them, and it is part of his face. So the glasses, because everything you've seen him in, he wears glasses. So but he'd probably be quite good as the Doctor. I think, he's got that sense of intelligence about him, but he also has a fun, dry wit about him. I don't know if you've seen him in shows and stuff.
I've seen him. Well, I mean, outside of the IT crowd, I started watching Darth Marenghi's.
Oh, that one. Yeah. That's okay. It's a lot of fun.
But other than that, I don't really know what else he was in.
Well, he's in a lot of quiz shows these days, and he did this thing called The Traveling Man, where he traveled around, and he traveled with like a guest star. Once he traveled with, I think it was Ben Stiller. They went to another place, and I think with Ben Stiller, and he had like loads of big stars just spending the day with him in a different country, just testing out the, what's in that country, whatever. But he did that show. I don't know how long that lasted, and as I said, he's in a lot of quiz shows, and when he cracks jokes and stuff, it's very dry. It's very intelligent humor. So yeah, I can see him playing the Doctor, but I personally, as I keep saying, just to bring the Americans in, I would cast Tom Ellis. And that would be that.
Ellis is.
He plays Lucifer in the show Lucifer in America.
Oh, gee, I wonder why I haven't heard of that.
It's a fun show. It's a silly show. But
sorry, I don't want to watch a show named after the devil.
Well, it's just a show. But he was in Doctor Who. He played Martha's very first boyfriend in it. I don't know if you remember that. Yeah. So he played. So he was in Doctor Who.
Is that in the one where he dies at the end?
Yes.
The wedding episode.
Yeah. So basically, he's quite handsome. He's quite tall. And he's quite chiseled. But he's a really good actor, and he's obviously known in America for that show. So if they cast, and he wants to be the Doctor, he's actually said it'd be fun to be the Doctor. So if they cast him, you'll bring the Americans in, because obviously he's got a huge fan base in America.
Like I said, I'm willing to give. I mean, I'm going to play a wait and see approach to see who the next Doctor is. If it's, as long as it's not Ollie, I'll give him a chance.
It's going to be interesting if it was Ollie, but that's the thing. I probably won't watch it.
You guys,
I probably won't watch it.
Business, huh?
I probably won't watch it if he's cast, because it makes no sense. That's just driving the agenda even
like
more.
A fake middle finger to us.
Yeah, exactly. If they want the fans back, they have to do what's right. And I think what they're trying to do is they're trying to do what's right, but still save face as well. And that's going to be hard.
Like I said, I just really hope this works, but there's so much crap that they have to overcome. So much bad leftovers that we have to deal with for it to be. It's going to take a long time to get back to where it's exciting. It's must-see TV.
Yep, it certainly is. I just, we have to wait 2 years for it, though. That's the problem.
I can wait.
But, well, yeah, I guess. It's just, as I said, they need to do the right thing. And you see, it was a very sneaky move to get Russell T back, wasn't it? Because if they got someone else back, they obviously couldn't. They couldn't hire a woman to be a showrunner because then
Right.
the fan base would go crazy. They couldn't hire an American to be the showrunner because the fan base would go crazy. So the logical step to do, which was really sneaky, is to get someone that they already had, which was Russell T.
Yeah.
So they can't complain about that. Well, all we
Yeah.
can do is speculate, and now Doctor Who's in the consciousness of people now because of this. So I think their plan is working, but will their plan be scuppered?
It's gonna, like I said, we gotta see how much damage is done in the next season.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
As I said, it's good speculating, but
yeah.
Well,
I hate to do this, but I'm gonna have to start wrapping up because I have
Cool.
a meeting
no worries.
at the top of the hour. So I'm glad you could make it. Good to talk
Yeah,
to you.
it's always a pleasure talking to you, Father. Anytime, Sorry, I'm a bit late. I didn't know you were
Don't
on.
worry. I figured if I went at 5:30, that's almost 11:30 there. I figured try to go a little bit earlier for you.
Cool. And I was late.
No, don't worry. Happy that you're here. So,
All right, mate.
thank everybody for watching. Please be sure to
Cheers.
hit the like button. And until next time, God bless. And we're
Bye.
hitting the end button.